Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another Top of the List review. As we promised, Ryan and I will be discussing Umbrella Academy. Came out with a new season. Season 2 came out recently. We wanted to give you guys, not just one, but 2 weekends to watch it. Also, kind of guilty for that one myself. Took a little longer than I thought I needed to see this one, but it was well worth it, in my opinion, but we'll discuss that. I'm going to hand it over to Ryan. We want to kind of give a quick recap of Season 1, what our score is, because in the Netflix originals episode at Top of the List, I never got to give my score because I hadn't seen it at that point. Ryan, can you refresh people on Season 1 and your score?
Absolutely, yeah. So first of all, I'm so glad I got you to watch this, and it's a great show. It's really exciting. I thought it would definitely be right up your alley, and I think you did definitely enjoy both season 1 and season 2. For those of you who maybe need a little bit of a refresher just from season 1, what happened? The show's about a group of 7 children who are all born on the same day. Sort of miraculous birth. The parents or the mother is not pregnant. These children are brought in by Sir Reginald Hargreaves, and he creates the Umbrella Academy. It's this group of children superheroes. They all sort of drift apart, but they're brought back together after he dies. And a couple of them go missing, but one comes back, and he knows the apocalypse is coming within a week. And it's basically how they are able to prevent the apocalypse. Little spoiler here, but I'm sure everyone who's watching this for a season 2 recap will remember from season 1. The cause of the apocalypse is number 7, Vanya, played by Ellen Page. She is always told that she doesn't have powers. Towards the end of the show, we find out she does have powers. She's actually the most powerful. And sort of being repressed for all these years, she finally lets loose all of her powers, and that's what sparks the apocalypse.
The white violin.
The white violin, yes. The apocalypse does eventually happen at the end of season 1. The Umbrella Academy does not successfully prevent it, but they're able to jump back in time with number 5's time-traveling powers, which throws us right into the start of season 2, literally seconds from the time that season 1 ends to the start of season 2 in the grand scheme of time. So with that being said, before we jump into season 2, season 1, my score, like I said in our Netflix original episode, 9.5 out of 10. Huge fan of this show. Blew my mind. Completely different from the traditional confines of a superhero show like a DC or a Marvel that we've become so fond of, and that's why I loved it. So 9.5 out of 10 for me, season 1. Dom, you watched season 1 more recently than me. So how about, anything I missed that you want to add? And then what was your score?
Yeah, so I think you did a great job with that recap, dude. Everybody's going to kind of figure out over time. I think that there's a lot of strong points in season 1. I think that there's this thing with Netflix shows where it takes a little while to get into them because they know you're going to be binging. So they know, like, kind of the first half of most seasons kind of started off slow. But, this one had to do a lot. They had to set up the whole premise and everything. And I think it did a good job. So without over explaining too much, my score for season 1, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Didn't quite like it to the level as you did, but maybe that's because I'm more of a superhero show guy than you are, Ryan. You haven't seen Daredevil. You haven't seen any of the other Netflix superhero shows, along with I'm a huge Flash fan, Arrow, a lot of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you name it, I've seen about every superhero show out there. Doom Patrol, which I kind of want to bring up right now while I can, is I just watched Doom Patrol season 1. Very similar to Umbrella Academy in some ways. In other ways, maybe not so much. But I do have to say, Doom Patrol really, really was pretty awesome to me, but kind of in a different way than Umbrella Academy. But it still is kind of similar. So I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, 7.5 for me. The kind of things that I did not like about season 1, Hazel and the donut lady Agnes, their romance, it felt unnecessary. Sure, it wasn't like I was not wanting to watch it or anything. It just felt like that was something they could have cut out of the show. And if you look, okay, go
Can
ahead.
I
Yeah,
interject
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Because I was really thinking about this because you had brought it up. I love the chemistry between Hazel and Agnes, but I was thinking, maybe you're right. Maybe it doesn't fit in. But I think it definitely, there's a big, important role for Hazel and his character arc, which leads us in. He has a very small part in the first episode of season 2, but it sets the scene for that. And we would not have gotten that if we didn't have this whole story arc of Hazel. And what starts the change in Hazel is this amorous connection with Agnes.
Yeah, and I could see that. But I would even argue maybe he was trying to turn earlier than that. But still, no, I see what you're saying. I just feel like, they kill him off. Obviously, guys, spoilers. If you don't know by now, it's going to be in the title. Spoilers, in episode 1 of season 2, we see Hazel gets killed off in the very beginning of this episode. And
You
to
got
me,
to do
that
it
was
more
just
justice than that. He doesn't just get killed off; he sacrifices himself.
he sacrificed himself, and I think it's a great moment. But to me, that's just saying, the writers realize what I realize. His storyline wasn't as critical as it is to focus on the Umbrella Academy. It felt like an ancillary kind of story to what
Okay.
our main characters were,
I
which was
do
my
I do have
negative.
one more point that I want to bring up.
Of course, of course.
I don't think that Hazel, and this also plays a major part in season 2. I don't think Hazel, if it weren't for Agnes, would have ever gone and killed, or as we find out later, attempt to kill the handler. I
That's
think that's
true.
a major point where we see him change. The handler comes and basically says, sorry, my bad. 5 got loose in the commission and had you guys try and kill each other. He still goes and shoots Kate Walsh's character, the handler, which we think she's dead. We see she's not in season 2 and plays a major role in season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You're 100% right there, Ryan. That is a critical part of that storyline. But and it is critical to see that's how they introduce the handler and the commission. So I get what you're saying there. The other reason why I don't give this as high of a score as you, Ryan, I give this one a 7.5. I think I already said that.
Mm-hmm.
I give that score because I do have a few issues. Like I said, one thing is that you had been hyping up this character Klaus for me, and at first I didn't like him. But I do have to say, after a few episodes, and when you first meet him in his first episode, he kind of feels out of place with the tone of the rest of the family. He's kind of the jokester. He's kind of funny. None of the other family members are like that. They're all very serious. So he kind of felt out of place for me. But as the season went on, his character got so incredible. So I do have to say that, you were right in the end, that he was really amazing. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
go
I
ahead.
think every single scene, season 1 and 2, that Robert Sheehan, who plays
Okay.
Klaus, is on screen. He steals the screen, and I think that's what got me to watch the show. I'll be completely honest with you. When I first went on to Netflix and Umbrella Academy popped up, and you watch the little trailer, there's a reason that the scene that they choose to show there is a scene with Klaus, sort of breaking the tension. It's this tense scene, and he's laying around hungover at his father's funeral as everyone else is sort of somber. I mean, I think he's perfect for this. I think
Yeah.
he's one of the main things that sets this show apart. And we find out, later on in the show, that the reason he's an alcoholic and he uses drugs is to keep his mind at bay. His
Yep.
powers are to communicate with the dead, and he doesn't want to.
Yeah,
He
and
wants to
once
not.
you once you understand that, that's kind of for me. Like at first, I remember I called you and I was like, yeah, but why is he doing this and stuff and like that? You're like, you'll find out. And once you eventually find out, he becomes so interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. That's crucial to his character. And then like my one other negative is like I feel like there's a couple episodes where the music kind of feels out of it. And I specifically want to call back to the like dancing in the moonlight scene where Luther and Allison are just kind of have this fantasy where they're dancing. Felt completely out of place for me. Is it a bad moment? No, not at all. But it just felt out of place, is what
Yeah,
I would say.
I think that's what knocks this show down from a 10 to a 9.5 for me. There are a couple of love interests. I don't mind Agnes and
Okay.
Hazel, and I don't mind uh, the whole love story, and then it turns into our true villain, Vanya and Leonard, who turns out to be our main antagonist towards the end. But yeah, I'm not crazy about the Allison and Luther love interest, and
Me too.
honestly, I'm glad how the show handled it. That that whole event where they had that picturesque, dream sequence dancing, almost like La La Land esque, um, was the day that got erased. They
Yeah.
all went back, so I
Yeah.
was happy. I also didn't really care much for the Diego Patch. Was that her name? Patch, the
Yeah.
detective.
It was
I
kind of
didn't.
sad when she gets killed off,
Yeah, I
but
just felt it was
yeah.
kind of wedged in and unnecessary.
Me too. Me too.
It sort of gave us a backstory on Diego, but we also
Mhm.
got a backstory on Diego with his relationship with his mother. Anyways, I digress. You
Yeah.
heard our scores from season 1. I think we should jump right into season 2.
Absolutely. And, we kind of talked about a lot of the characters in Umbrella Academy, except for pretty much my favorite one. I think he's one of your favorites, and he's kind of what sets off everything that happens in season 2. Let's talk about number 5. Of course, I don't remember the actor's name. But do
I
you have
got
the
it
actor's
right here
name?
for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 5 played by so there's a couple actors that played him. It's Aidan Gallagher who primarily plays him as a young boy, but we do get to see him in middle age again, which we saw a little bit of season 1, but a lot
Yeah,
in season 2, played by Sean Sullivan. I think both play the role perfectly. They
they're
play
so
off of each
amazing.
other. Yeah, they're both great.
Oh yeah, and I mean, my favorite character out of everybody in the Umbrella Academy, I love number 5. I was thinking about, I think I called you earlier and I said I might give season 1 a 6. I might give season 1 a 6.5, but by the end, number 5 pulled it through for me. He is so amazing, and that continues into season 2. So let me hand this over to you, Ryan. Season 2, what's your score? Was it better? Was it just as good? Did it do worse? What do you think about season 2?
I'm going to say it was every bit as good as season 1. I know we disagree a little bit here. You're going to say you like season 2 better, if I'm not mistaken. To
Yeah,
me, this was just as good. I love the product that Netflix has been rolling out. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10 as well. Like I said, there were a few slow spots in the beginning of the season. I think I got to give like the first 4 episodes 9 out of 10s. But then from episode 5 till the finale, all 10 out of 10. Fantastic television. I think you said this to me, in pre-production here, but every episode gets better and better
yeah,
from episode 5 on.
yep.
So yeah, 9.5 out of 10 for me again, just like season 1.
Yeah, so here let's try to walk through real quick because I kind of want to go through this chronologically. I feel like that's when we get our best ideas flowing. You remember things I don't, I remember things you don't. So let's start off with what I think. Episodes 1 and 2, season 1, episodes 1 and 2, I didn't think were that great. Season 2 improved really great on episodes 1 and 2. Episodes 1 and 2 of season 2 did a great job setting up the mystery, kind of what's happening, what are our characters going after, they're fighting after another apocalypse, but it's very different this time. And I think that the fact that they're trapped in the 1960s adds so much to this show, and I really love that part of the show, and I think episodes 1 and 2 did a great job of putting us in that setting.
And let's just not talk about the 1960s, but 1960s Dallas, and more importantly, 1963 Dallas. The Kennedy assassination, one of the most commonly talked about, conspiracy theory jumping off points. There's so much mystery behind that still. And, a lot of people want to talk about it. And I think that was a great choice to put it in there. Originally this was the second volume of the Umbrella Academy comic books by Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba. Through Dark Horse Comics. It was the Apocalypse Suite was the first rendition. The second was called the Dallas Suite. I love that they went this direction and with time travel, jumping back in time. So yeah, great decision. And how about, I'm just going to put it out there, this opening sequence of season 2 with everyone dropping in at different times, all culminated with 5 landing in the apocalypse. And we get to see the Umbrella Academy fighting together,
Yep.
trying to stop this apocalypse. Of course, they fail. But how much did you want to see at season 1 if they were going to go in that direction and we were going to see them trying to quite literally fight off the apocalypse?
Yeah, I mean, it was great to see everybody, I think you said it, Ryan, actually being superheroes in the beginning of the show, kind of a tease at what could happen. And, spoilers, what does kind of happen at the final episode of this season. Everybody's using their powers. And, that was really a great tease. We just got a little taste of what could happen, and then they took it away, and they're like, okay, but here's how we're going to get there. I love that so much. And like we said before, Hazel's sacrifice, I felt for it. He says, Agnes died. We had a good life together, but now it's up to, I had to do this. And I think that really hit home for me too. They added a lot with that emotional death starting off the season. So yeah, I was sitting after I watched episode 1 and 2 together one night. I said, man, this season is already going to be way better than season 1. And then unless you have anything else to say on episodes 1 and 2, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think they were a great start. But I think, there were some definite slow points in episodes 1 and 2, as well as
Okay.
3 and 4. I thought, it took a little bit longer to explain. I felt like they may have over-explained a little bit. Let's just say that.
Okay.
That, I didn't necessarily need to see a lot of the exposition scenes. We talk about that a lot in our film reviews that, you can tell if a film's a good film based off of these exposition scenes. And
Right.
some of them I felt dragged on a little bit, but I will say
Fair
that
enough. Yeah.
I mean, you talked about maybe some of the music being out of place in season 1. The music set to these fighting scenes, and even the
Oh
music in
yeah.
the montage scene with everyone falling in, is what redeemed these first 2 and even
Oh
these
my
first
gosh.
4
Yeah.
episodes. Fantastic.
Yeah, the soundtrack. I liked the soundtrack for season 1, but for season 2, I think it fits even better. Maybe it's because they traveled back in time, and maybe it's because in 2019 those songs didn't feel as great. But traveling back in time and having them, immersed in this past, I feel like them playing these kind of old songs at first, then they throw some ones from the future in. It's really great, and I think let's move into episodes 3 and 4. These were the weakest episodes of the season for me. Yeah, I think you agree with me on this. There was some strange decisions. Specifically, I think I had a problem with Luther's storyline in these 2 episodes. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, no, I agree. Luther is an interesting character. Honestly, I think it's nothing against actor Tom Hopper's portrayal of Luther.
Yeah.
I don't like his character. And even when, reading some of the comics, I don't like his character. I don't like the amorous connection with Allison. Which I think leads to some of his decisions.
And he kind of
In
becomes an
those
oafen
episodes.
this season.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, in the
Well, I
first
think
season he
he
was so
always
dead
is.
set though on saving the apocalypse, and then in this season he's kind of just like kind of acting stupid when he sees Allison, and he's like, I don't want to save the apocalypse, which is an interesting change in his character. But
Well,
what
we
do
see
you
it.
think?
I want to say we see it later on as well, though. With he was always sort of the favorite
Right.
of Reginald Hargreaves, and we see him for he starts to lose his confidence in himself at the end of season 1 when he finds out all those moon reports. He
Yep.
was on the moon and he thought he was on this top secret mission for his dad, and we find out that they were never even opened. So I think that's where we pick up. We pick up at a Luther who's sort of wallowing in self-pity.
Yep.
And on top of that, when he finds out that Allison has been married, we also see that scene where he goes back to Reginald Hargreaves in 1962.
That was
to
a
the
good
party.
turning point for his
Yeah,
character.
we see, he just continues to be rejected. We see positive scenes for Luther in season 1. We
When
get
he sees Reginald, remember he's like, this is gonna sound crazy, but I'm your son, and he's like, I don't know who you are. that was funny.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing about this show. Just jumping back, awesome comic relief,
Yep.
always, and just at the right time, never overdone, just at the right time. But just jumping back to that, I think a big turning point for Luther's character is in when he has that romantic date with Allison in season 1, and then that whole day gets played back, and he ends up, instead of having Allison, he goes and gets drunk and goes to that rave, and that's sort of a turning point for Luther, where he starts to become sort of this pathetic guy instead of number 1.
Right, exactly. And
that's
kind
sort of where,
go ahead.
where
Sorry.
Almost Diego takes the lead of this team in
Exactly
season 1.
what I was gonna say. Took the words out of my mouth, dude. You're amazing. Okay, so then so we kind of talked 3 and 4. So after watching episodes 3 and 4, I think I called you. I was like, dude, I don't know. This is slightly better. I was thinking about giving it an 8 at that point, but then I watched episode 5, and this is the one everybody had been waiting for. All the Umbrella Academy coming together in one room, hashing it out, seeing all the personalities play off of each other, seeing the plot move forward, seeing the emotions and the backstories come through. And episode 5 really sets the season off running, because from there on, it's fantastic. That's what makes me, I'm going to say my score now. I'm going to give Umbrella Academy season 2 a 9. You may convince me to give it a 9.5, Ryan, because seeing how much you liked it, it just makes me like it even more. But yeah, so season 5, they all come together. There's a lot of great scenes in episode 5, and namely what I thought is just a fun scene that maybe very few shows could pull off is when it's Klaus, Allison, and Vanya in the hair salon, and they just start dancing and they all start connecting with each other. So great. What do you think about kind of some of the stuff that happens in episode 5, Ryan?
Yeah, so I was just going to ask you, I wanted to make sure episode 5 was the scene where we see Allison, Klaus, and Vanya sort of start to go together, start to bond together. And, I think Allison, Klaus, and Vanya are sort of played off Of course in season 1, but even in season 2, it's more about, our superheroes are Diego and
Number
Tom
5.
Hopper, Diego and Luther in
Yeah.
season 1, and then number 5 as well. Number 5 is more practical. I think Diego and Luther more, you're just drawn to them because it's almost sort of in season 1 at least, a Superman-Batman relationship with,
Yeah.
the vigilante versus the guy who's always been, fighting is number 1, as the
Right.
superhero. But, finally we get to see those 3 together, and it's an awesome sequence. The cinematography, first of all, is amazing. But seeing them together, and it's sort of a revelation moment, for the crowd as it is, or for the audience as it is for Vanya. Because remember, Vanya has amnesia. She doesn't remember anything up to the point of landing in 1960. I think she's the second one, so 1961.
Yeah.
Or no, she's 1963, and she's hit by the car with Sissy and Harlan.
That's right. 1960. She's only been there for a month because she can't remember everything past a month.
Correct.
And, I'm glad you brought this up. I think it's a perfect time to talk about this, Ryan. We get some new love interests in this season. And for me, one love interest, the one for Diego, we're talking about Lila, of course, excellent addition. I love that storyline. I think the Sissy and Vanya storyline, it could get weak at some points. There's some strong episodes where it really shines. There's some where it doesn't. Obviously becomes really important at the end of the season. But what do you think about the new love interest, the romantic aspects of this season? Because it is crucial to the show.
Yeah. I much prefer the love interests, all 3 of them in the new love interests in this season.
Okay.
Definitely love the storyline with Lila and Diego. I love Lila's character. She's awesome.
Me too.
Especially the twist with her at the end in the finale that she, spoiler alert, she's one of these children born in 1989 with spontaneously born, who was not adopted by Reginald Hargreaves, which is a huge twist. Didn't see it coming at all.
Me neither.
So, I mean, I love her addition. I also really like the social justice aspect when we get Allison's new husband and
Raymond
Chestnut, I believe.
Chestnut, sorry.
Yes. But no, love that addition to the show, definitely. And, we knew that was going to play a major role in Allison's character from minute 1 on scene, because remember when she first lands in 1961, she walks into the diner and it says no whites. And of course we have that then, it says whites only. And we have that framed then the rest of the season because they stage a sit-in there. So, there's an added level of danger for Allison's character, of course, in 1960s Dallas, that I think adds an even deeper layer to this show that I really love. The sequence, it's really a heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching sequence when the police come in and start arresting, Raymond for when Allison sort of, hits that white guy, kicks him out of the salon. Definitely a heartbreaking and a gut-wrenching scene.
Allison's storyline as a whole was really great this season. I thought I really felt for her because she found someone that she loved and she found happiness in the past. And, in the end, she has to go back and kind of lose Raymond.
Absolutely. But I mean, she's fighting that the whole season, fighting losing Raymond, first with, her having to try and rumor the police officers to let her go, or to let him go. Then he sees it firsthand when the Swedes come in. And she rumors that was a dark scene where she rumors one of the Swedes to, I heard a rumor that you killed your own brother, and we watched that. Oh man. And then of course we also have Vanya and Sissy, which I think is a great love interest as well, because we don't hear much about Vanya. I mean, of course she has Leonard in season 1, but of course he's just playing her the whole time because he knows who she is. I think it was a great addition, and of course, it also stems back to her relationship with Harlan, who it stems sort of season 2's finale.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we said it before, from episode 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, each episode gets even better than the last. So let's keep going on here. So I'm just looking at the episodes here, okay, so let's kind of focus back on number 5 in his plate. I wanted to bring something up for him. At the beginning, I want to say it is episode 6 or 8 or 7 or 8. I want to say, no, episode 7. At the beginning of episode 7, 5 travels to the 80s to kill the board for the commission, which is one of the best openings of any episode of this series I had ever seen.
Yes.
It's bloody, it's so gory, and it's so exciting. I really love it. It's funny at points. The guy with the fishbowl head,
Yes.
I love that. I thought number 5 was doing really great this whole season. He really pulled a lot of great acting, a lot of great action. So that's what I got to say for that one.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely this episode. So you said it's episode 7, right?
Yeah, opening of episode 7.
So this is the opening of episode 7. He's commissioned by the handler, who is alive,
Yep.
and has been, we find, been raising and working with Diego's love interest, Lila. It's her adopted mother.
Another twist.
Yes, but we definitely get to see him after he's commissioned to kill the commission's board of directors.
Right.
He does this so he can get a briefcase, so he can travel back with his family to a normal 2019, which is when the show's present timeline is, where they had left. But this would be a 2019 restored with no apocalypse occurring. He gets the briefcase. And is this the whole episode then where he has 80 minutes to get them all together?
So suspenseful.
Yes.
Everybody trying to get together, and you hear the clock ticking at some points during the episode. Oh my gosh, I was on the edge of my seat. It was so incredible.
Yes. And, as we find out in the end of this episode, not everyone gets there, which is crazy. Yeah. Allison gets holed up because she's that's where she's in the fight with the Swedes, and she rumors them. And I believe Diego doesn't get there as well because he's knocked out and taken to the commission by Lila to work with the security team. We do see Klaus.
I was just going to say, and in this episode, we finally get to see Ben possess Klaus and live in his body, which I love. I think I'm forgetting the actor's name again that plays Klaus. Maybe you can help me out, but his performance.
Yeah, Robert Sheehan.
Robert Sheehan. He did so great playing Ben in his own body. I think that was so cool.
But that's another standout point in this season. I love, and definitely with the twist in the final scene of the finale for season 2 as well. We're going to see more of them. I absolutely love Justin H. Min as Ben.
Me too.
Obviously, Klaus is amazing. He's been an extension of Klaus. I loved in this season how Klaus was sort of just, ignorant of him. But then, he finally lets him possess him. And I thought, yeah, you're absolutely right. Robert Sheehan playing Justin Min as Ben, in that scene where he's with Ben's love interest and they're rolling around in the dirt. I love that. And then we get a heartfelt scene as well when Diego comes and gets Klaus and says, look, we got to get back to number 5 and meet in the alley. And he goes, it's me, it's your brother, it's Ben.
I was tearing up.
Oh man, yeah. Absolutely. That's a really heartfelt scene.
Yeah, he's like, it's good to talk to you again, bro. And I was like, oh man, Ben. And we never get to find out how he died. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we find out in season 3 what happened. But so that kind of, that whole thing with Ben, we'll come back to Ben in a second. But while we're talking about Klaus, let's backtrack a little bit. Trying to do everything that he has to do with Dave. Is that what you're thinking of right now, Ryan?
I'm thinking of everything with Klaus in this season. From starting the cult, I love the cult.
So
and,
funny.
Everything that all his teachings are, song lyrics. Like, don't go chasing waterfall. You find out later that his cult's name is Destiny's Child.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I love. And, even when he's trying to come out to them, I am not a savior. I am wrong. Well, I have fault too. They're all still following him.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
I'm a fraud too.
Yes. I thought that was fantastic. And then from, his descent, heartfelt scene again, he goes and confronts, is his name Dave? Am I correct?
Dave, yeah.
Yeah, so who we find out in season 1 was sort of his lover when he enlisted in Vietnam and died in combat, and he tries to stop him, and Dave's sort of hate-monger uncle, hit him, and he hits him, and then he comes back to him again to apologize, and he says, look, I know your future, and, still cannot get him to not enlist.
Right.
Even, and then up to, his sort of descent then, he starts drinking again.
Yep.
And he goes on that bender. I love the cinematography though on that bender in the supermarket.
How about the song that's playing?
Yeah, Barracuda, right?
Yeah, I think it was Barracuda. I hope that we're remembering that right.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Barracuda. Maybe
But
not.
this was, I love the arc of Klaus, and then even when he has Ben possessing him, what an amazing acting job by Robert Sheehan. Um, and then yeah, we get him back again, for the end of this season. I think throughout, I think he's amazing.
Yeah. And okay, so now we kind of talked about 7. We're moving into like 8 and 9 now. And 8 is where 5 is kind of going back, seeing himself. He has Luther as his spotter. They're kind of trying to plan, do you remember this part, Ryan, where they see 5's not
Right.
his 14 days younger, but he's actually way older. You know what I'm talking
Right.
about?
Yeah. So this is 5 after he's been through, spent his 30 years in the apocalypse after he gets trapped there in the wasteland and had his family with his mannequin wife. And then has been recruited by the commission. So now he is working for the commission. This is older 5. He's probably about 50, 55, played by Sean. I know I said it earlier. I got to get the name real quickly again.
Yeah.
But played by Sean Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his next plan. Now that briefcase won't work anymore and they can't get out, his next plan is he's going to steal the briefcase from himself. But we find out that's not going to be so easy, because when you're in yourself, you are meeting yourself in an alternate time, there's some psychosis going on there.
The 7 stages, and yes. I like how they put him each up on the screen when he's listening it.
Yes.
So great. I love that. And, he starts itching himself. I'm not out of my mind. Are you? Yeah. It's lots of crazy stuff like that. Oh, man, it was so great.
Yeah.
Really great chance for, Gallagher.
Aidan Gallagher.
Aidan Gallagher to stretch his acting muscles there really a lot. And, those 2 actors to kind of play off of each other. And you could see they're actually the same person. You can finally tell. And it's really cool. And then episode 8 kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, right? Because we have, Diego went back and he found out that it was Vanya that actually sets off Doomsday, the apocalypse. And, he goes back and he gets Allison and Klaus to go to the FBI building to go and save her. And, it's already happening. And the episode cuts to black. And I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, I got to watch episode 9 now.
Now remind me about this episode. So we have the cliffhanger. So I know first Allison tries to go. Of course, Vanya is being tortured. It's the FBI building in Dallas, which we find out sparks the apocalypse in the first timeline. Vanya blows up the FBI building. The Americans think it's the Russians who did it, that it was a bomb. Launch nukes at the Soviets, and the Soviets launch back, and that's what causes the apocalypse. So we find that
what
out.
We see in the first episode.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And we find this out because Diego is able to commandeer the switchboard with the
infinite switchboard thing.
Yes. And what is the name of the guy who helps him out? That I got to figure out. He was awesome. Is it Herb?
Oh, Herb, yeah. I was wondering who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he plays a major part too here. But he's able to figure out, that it was Vanya. So they go to the FBI building. Vanya is being tortured because she's stopped when she's trying to run away with Sissy. So she's because they hear the name Vanya and hear that she can speak Russian. They think she's a Soviet spy. So she's being tortured.
And, that's kind of when episode 9 starts is, Klaus, Diego, Allison are in the FBI building. They're hiding behind that desk with, Vanya's soundwave powers coming through, trying to push them back. And episode 9 starts, and I just got to say this, dude. I thought episode 7 had topped it with, the killing of the board. But 9 even tops that with Ben's sacrifice and saving Vanya. Oh my gosh.
Man, yes.
This was some of the most intense edge of my seat stuff I had seen in a Netflix show in a very long time. Ever since I saw Dark season 3, I haven't seen anything this great.
Right. So I want to jump back real quickly to one more scene from episode 8.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Before that, just the final sequence where we have 5s fighting each other. And meanwhile, Luther's trying to stop him. They just keep kicking him in the crotch to keep him down. But then, so that was plan B, how they were going to get back. He was going to steal 5's briefcase. And remember, they push 5 through the time portal to go back and keep that timeline intact. But the portal closes and cuts the briefcase in half.
Right.
So now plan A, 5 kills the board, gets the briefcase from the handler. That doesn't work out because nobody gets back in time. Then plan B, stealing older Five's briefcase. Well, that doesn't work out because the briefcase is destroyed in that fight. So now we're sort of at a loss on how are they going to get back to 2019 and restore that. But first of all, we have to prevent at least Diego, Allison, and Klaus are going to have to prevent Vanya from setting off the events that start the apocalypse. So now picking up, now we're at episode 9, and we get this incredible, drug-induced dream sequence of Vanya, trying, everyone trying to get her to eat the brain, so she can
Yeah,
remember.
that was at the end of episode 8, yeah.
Okay, so that was the end of episode 8.
And then 9 opens up with, Allison, she says, I'm going to go save Vanya. She can't do it. She gets knocked back. Diego does it, and he lets down the hose. And for Klaus, he says, Klaus, you got to do this. And, you're like, it was such a great Klaus moment because as the whole show, we've been saying, come on, Klaus, you could do this. We want you to be able to be this guy we all want you to be. We don't want you to be this mess up like he pretty much is a mess up. He screws everything up. Mm-hmm. And, finally, he gets the strength in him, and he climbing up that thing, and I was going, yes, Klaus, yes. And he can't do it, and then he just looks up and he sees Ben, and Ben goes and saves, and he goes inside Vanya. He possesses Vanya, and the cinematography when Ben is walking in and it's the empty house and he sees just the white violin on the table, and he looks inside the holes in the violin, and you just see the light shining through, and then you see Vanya inside the violin. Oh my gosh, I was like, wow, they're really going for it right now.
Yeah. And we get that awesome sequence, and the dialogue there between Ben and Vanya, incredible. And we see the sacrifice from Ben, and he whispers something into Vanya's ear. He says, tell Klaus this, as she's hugging him, because he asks, can I have one last embrace as I go?
Yeah.
We later find out, Vanya tells Klaus that as Ben goes, that she wanted to let Klaus know, because we see first a flashback of Ben after he dies being, kept alive by Klaus.
And that's how the finale opens.
Right. And we hear him say, we later hear Vanya say to Klaus, mm-hmm. Ben did not go into the light. It wasn't because you told him not to. He was afraid. So we knew that Ben was there on his own accord. We sort of felt that Klaus was guilty.
Yeah.
That, he never let Ben find peace, but we find that it was Ben. It was not Klaus that stopped him.
Yeah, and he I think powerful. Maybe part of it was really powerful. And part of it is because he wanted to be with Klaus. As much as they kind of bickered inside of Klaus's head all these years, they did love each other. And I think that is really emotionally powerful. Great.
Yeah. And we see that in that flashback as well. I forget what the exact words exchanged when Ben sort of comes back in Klaus's head. But they immediately go off and play a game or something as soon as he's back.
Like, want to go see me pee in Reginald's car, in Dad's car or something?
That's what something like that. Yeah.
Pee in Dad's gas tank.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of like what was going on in episode 9. They save Vanya. Ben's sacrifice comes through. But yep, go ahead.
I think this was episode 9. It may have been episode 10. Okay. But Diego is not able to stop the assassination
episode 9,
of John F. Kennedy. Reginald Hargreaves, because he meets with them, knows that they see it coming, so he places a decoy on the grassy knoll.
Yep.
But then we get a reveal that a lot of comic fans may have known, or if not, they had picked up on it in the finale of season 1. We get to see Reginald Hargreaves, at least from behind, his true form.
Yeah, what was that about? I was so kind of confused, but I was in love with it.
Well, you remember how season 1 ended for Hargreaves, right? With the rockets being shot off. So we knew he
takes the violin from his lover back and all of that. Yeah, I didn't know what that was about.
We saw that, and what came to a lot of people's mind, myself included, is, it was a Krypton-esque scene. He's not on Earth. He's on another world. And we get confirmation in that, at least from behind. He said, when everyone's celebrating, oh, it was successful. Kennedy, he knew too much. He talked too much. We couldn't keep him alive. And he sort of takes off the monocle and takes off his skin. We just see from behind. And, I mean, to me, that means he's an alien, who is sent back to stop Earth from, all these apocalypses.
Right. Yeah, which adds a lot, and that's going to play into what happens in the next season. Hopefully we get a next season. I think they already renewed it. I'm not sure. Do you know?
I'm not sure if they already renewed it, but come on, with the end of season 2.
Most Netflix shows run 3 seasons, and if they, end this one on season 3 or go for another one, I'll be satisfied with,
I don't remember where I was reading this. It was after the end of season 1. I thought I had read that this show had been picked up for 8 seasons.
Oh, wow.
I thought I had read that. I may be mistaken, but I thought I had read somewhere that it was in it was an agreement with Gerard Way, who's the author of the comics, because when season 1 came out, there were only 3 editions of the Umbrella Academy comics. There's been a 4th since called, spoiler alert, the 4th that was released was the Sparrow Academy, which we got a hint in the finale. So I'm assuming as he creates more comics, they're going to adapt more and more for television or for Netflix.
That would be amazing, dude, because I like the show a lot now. So, I can't remember anything else that happens in episode 9. Maybe you can, but if you can't, let's just talk about the finale and close this out.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and set the scene for the finale. If I recall, I'm trying to remember, how do they get to the resolution that they have to go rescue Harlan? I'm trying to remember.
So the episode opens, they're all inside of Elliot. We didn't talk about Elliot at all. He's kind of the conspiracy theorist that eventually gets killed. The son of the dentist that was a TV salesman, and he just starts taking pictures. You'll know if you see the season.
They keep on appearing. That's where in 1960, 61, 62, and 63, the Umbrella Academy members all fall into this alley behind his apartment and the TV store.
Right. So they're in there, and this is after Kennedy's been killed, and the Umbrella Academy's pictures are all on the TV. They're all being kind of seen as these Soviet outcasts or somehow responsible for assassinating the president. And, Vanya's trying to call Sissy to see what's going on. She doesn't answer. She picks up the keys and she goes to her family. She says, I need my family with me. I'm going. Yeah. And at that point I was like, come on, guys, you need to come together. But Diego says, no, we have bigger priorities right now. And 5 says, no, you know what? Diego's right for once. And I was like, what? They're going to let her go on her own? Then they show her getting into the car. And then they see Klaus comes in the side, the passenger seat, and they share that great moment about what Ben said.
Yep.
And then one by one, the Umbrella Academy comes together to go save Harlem. And oh my gosh, I was so hyped because this is what we've been waiting for them to finally become a team, for them all to come together. And, at the end of season 1, they came together, but to stop Vanya, this time, all 6 of them are coming together. They're all going to be using their powers. And oh my gosh, this finale was incredible. You said, 10 out of 10.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, also I just want to circle back to sort of the comic relief here. We have a big emotional scene. They all come behind Vanya. And then last but not least, Luther gets in the car and the car sinks down and, the tailpipe is dragging. Don't make any fat jokes.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah.
And, they go and we have these great scene. Like we said, they finally get to use their powers. And, we get a great twist where the Handler and Lila show up and they have this great confrontation with Diego and number 5. And, Vanya, first the Handler summons all those people from the commission, right? And they all show up. They're all outnumbered. Like, what the heck is going to go on? And Vanya shows up with her badass powers and vanquishes all of them.
But we see them all working together, too. I mean, they're saying there's too many of them. We see... I'm trying to remember exactly what happens, but, you have bullet shots. Somebody sacrifices themselves. I'm trying to remember when they're all running for cover and everyone's shooting all the members of the commission.
Well, number 5 is too tired to, teleport. So, and he's with Diego, and Diego's like, I'll hold him off. And then we get to see Diego use his power in this
all of his
way.
powers, yeah.
We never got to see him use that, and he's like, all these bullets. He's like, that was amazing.
And able to send him off in another direction. Yeah, that's what it is, exactly. Awesome scene, and the cinematography too that they were able to do that was so cool.
And it's all snowing at the same time, and you're right. The cinematography was incredible, and Vanya kills all these, or at least I don't know if she kills. She probably does kill them.
Yeah, no, she kills all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then but we get the major twist, like we had said before, that Lila has powers, and not only does she have powers, but she can mirror all the powers of our Umbrella Academy heroes.
Absolutely, yeah. We see her first mimicking Vanya's power to sort of stun everybody.
Yeah.
Even after, we think they succeed, I think Vanya's talking Harlan down, but then she mimics that power and sends another wave, and it sets Harlan off again, which is when the Handler comes in and starts trying to recruit Harlan to be another member of sort of her covert team with Lila, right?
Yeah, and Lila and Five inside of Sissy's house have this excellent fight. What was kind of hinted at earlier in the show, when Five has his foot on
Yeah.
Lila's neck earlier, and you're like, wow, how does she keep, evading him when he's teleporting? And then we finally learn it's because she can mirror his powers, and they have that kind of like the 5 versus 5 fight. They have that great battle, and then we get another twist. They're trying to stop Lila. They confront her. They're all circling around her. They're like, no, we're your real family. Another really emotional scene. But then out of nowhere, the handler comes in and murders everybody. What?
Yeah. Murders everybody. And then, if I'm not mistaken, then the Swede, the final remaining alive Swede, comes in and he shoots the handler.
Yep.
But we get a twist first, Five was not dead. And we flash back to the scene in the bar, in the tiki bar, where Five is talking with his father, and he's saying seconds, not days. You just got to jump back, and he's finally able. We see the problem. He can jump forward in time, but he can't jump back. And even the one time he tries, he screws up and he ends up stuck in this 13-year-old body.
Right.
He's finally able to sort of turn back the clock, and we see that awesome scene in reverse.
Right.
And so from there, and now we know what's coming. So they're able to confront Lila. Now, she doesn't stick with him. She grabs the briefcase and jumps back. So she doesn't stay with her family, but she at least isn't working for the handler anymore.
Maybe she'll be a part. She's got to be a part of season 3. She's such a great character.
Right. But then finally, the handler dies.
The Swede kills the handler.
The Swede kills the handler, and then Five throws down his gun and says enough. And then the Swede looks around and he says it back in Swedish and walks away. And we get Herb.
Yep.
Yes, Herb.
Herb
is
to
now
the rescue.
The head of the commission. And I've been elected unanimous chairman of the board, and everyone else is dead.
Yeah.
And Herb, I love Herb and Diego have this great secret handshake. I thought that was awesome. They great. Smoke the joint, throw it away.
that was so hilarious.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then he says, you want to go back, take your pick, and they go back to 2019, and we think everything's going to be great.
And Sparrow Academy. So let's finish this one off. What's they're back in 2019. What's going to happen now? Their dad's alive. Ben's alive.
We get back to 2019, and Hargreaves says, "I've been expecting you." And I think it's Luther. He goes, "Dad, you're alive." And he goes, "Of course I'm alive. What did you expect?" And he goes, "Well, we're just happy to be home." He goes, "This is not your home." And then a group of they go, "What do you mean? This is the Umbrella Academy." He goes, "No, this is the Sparrow Academy." And a group of new members of this academy come out, led with a new hairstyle, Justin H. Min as Ben. And he goes, "Dad, who are these? I don't remember. Who are these guys?" He uses another word. I don't remember exactly. Who are these shitheads or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but we get, Ben's going to have this darker edge. Ben is still alive. I've been reading a lot online about this. I think what it has to do with is because Reginald Hargreaves saw the Umbrella Academy in 1960 and saw that they failed. He just went out and said, "These are not the ones I'm going to go and recruit. I'm going to go get a new group and start the Sparrow Academy," because the Umbrella Academy were failures. Because if he truly is this sort of immortal alien, which we even saw, he was like alive in 1860, I think, in season 1. Right. He's able to go back in time and travel through time superfluously, and is able to, try and change this. So he's created a new group of superheroes, which I think is going to
new powers. Hopefully, too, we'll get to see some new powers.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see, I think maybe Lila may end up part of this group as well. And maybe that's where she traveled to with the briefcase.
Okay.
So we'll see, because she does have powers as well. And I think, this is what a lot of people were wanting. Reginald Hargreaves was able to get 7 of the children that were born in 1989. But I'm going to look up the exact number here. 43 in total were born on that day. He was only able to obtain 7, of course. Luther, Diego, Allison, Ben, Klaus, number 5, and Vanya. Now, this is going to be a whole nother group of, 7 more, well, 6 more because Ben is still around, of the other 43 children. And, maybe new powers, maybe some of the same. But it'll be interesting to see, are these guys going to be allies? Are these going to be new villains maybe?
Yeah, and
How is this next season going to come?
yeah, and leads me right into what I was going to say. So I was thinking throughout this season too, this is kind of another reason besides, some of the stuff with Luther that kind of made me not mark this down to a 9 from what would have been a perfect season. The other thing I kind of had against this is it kind of felt some familiar, fighting against the apocalypse is what we come to expect. I was thinking, okay, we've had 2 seasons of them trying to stop the apocalypse, of them traveling through time. Let's get something new. Let's have them fighting against something that's not the apocalypse. Let's have them fighting against something that's not time. Let's have them fight against something that's another Umbrella Academy, the Sparrow Academy. This is what I've been waiting for, looking for. Hopefully season 3 can, take this show in a completely new direction besides just, trying to stop the apocalypse.
Yeah, so really excited to see this. And of course, really excited to see Justin H. Min given a bigger role now, as Ben is still alive, because I think from what we saw, the few glimpses of Ben, we got to see him use his power a couple of times in season 1. We saw him in the flashback to when they were children in that bank robbery as I think they call him the Abomination. He's able to summon these tentacles out of his stomach that just sort of beat the crap out of people. And then we saw it again when he's able to try and stop the Time Commission people when Vanya's playing the Apocalypse Suite. So I'm just, I'm really excited to see what they have to bring with this new group of characters, the Sparrow Academy.
All right, great. I'm glad we're looking forward to season 3, but I think we've said just about everything we can. We've given our scores. I'm giving season 2 a 9, Ryan a 9.5 for both season 1 and 2. For season 1, I gave it a 7.5, but major improvement for season 2. Season 2 was a thrill ride. Very good. As we said, 3 and 4 were kind of weak. 1 and 2, maybe not as great as the others, but from episode 5 on, guys, 10 out of 10 recommendation. Go and see this one. If you got Netflix, definitely watch it. But unless we have anything else to say, let's go ahead and close this one out. We're going to be dropping the Pixar Part 2 this Friday. So we got a few views on the first Pixar Part 1. We talked about the first 11 Pixar films. We're going to talk about the next 11 and kind of what we're thinking about for the next Pixar film, Soul, coming out soon. And we're kind of talking about doing a Mulan review next week. So that's kind of what's in the pipeline so far. We'll kind of figure it out from there, but looking forward to Mulan review, the original animated film, in anticipation for the live action release, and Pixar Part 2 dropping this Friday after this video comes out. So with that said, I'm Dom Gonzalez. You can follow me at Dom Gonzalez48 on Instagram and Twitter. Ryan, would you like to take us out?
Yeah, I'm Ryan Barnett, or RB. You can find me on Instagram at RB_the_SID. Thanks for tuning in to another top of the list review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. See you next week.